The Monsterverse franchise is known for containing some of the most iconic kaiju in science fiction, and has a deep lore spanning tens of unique monsters. In today's video, we'll be explaining the entire Monsterverse timeline, and breaking down all the major plot points. The canon Monsterverse timeline begins in 1943, with the USS Lawton incident, where the ship is attacked by a mysterious monster. The incident is covered up by the US government, but the sole survivor, William Randa, begins investigating the monster on his own. 3 years later, in 1946, an organization named Monarch was founded to investigate massive unidentified terrestrial organisms, also known as MUTOs. Monarch only begins to make real progress in the 1950s, starting with Bill Randa following folk tales of dragons to eventually discover the remains of the USS Lawton in 1952. He's accompanied by Keiko Miura and Colonel Leland Shaw on this mission. The group enters the ship, only to discover an ion dragon inside. This marks the first direct human encounter with a kaiju. By 1954, Monarch's focus had shifted to a different monster, Godzilla. They knew that the king of monsters was attracted to radiation, and designed an experiment using uranium to lure out Godzilla. However, Monarch's General Puckett had his own plans for the uranium, using it as a bomb to attempt to destroy Godzilla. While his attempt barely even hurts the monster, this sets the tone for the future clashes between MUTOs and humanity. Fast forward to 1962, and Monarch has discovered the existence of the Hollow Earth. They put together an expedition, which ultimately fails and ends with most of the crew being killed by an ion dragon. Monarch's progress seems to stall for about a decade after the failed expedition. However, the discovery of an uncharted island using satellite imagery offers another opportunity to uncover more MUTOs. Bill Randa leads the mission to Skull Island, where they attempt to map the island and link it to the Hollow Earth by dropping seismic explosives. This process is interrupted when Kong perceives the bombing as a threat and attacks the crew, scattering them across the island. On the ground, the Monarch team meets Hank Marlowe, a World War II veteran who crashed on the island in 1944. He explains the dynamic between Kong and the Skullcrawlers on the island, and offers his assistance to help the crew regroup. Even though the Monarch team is able to regroup, they encounter a Skullcrawler before they can leave, losing many members in the ensuing confrontation. Ultimately, the mission ends with the team encountering Kong and recognizing his peaceful nature. After acknowledging that he has been protecting the indigenous Iwi people and Marlowe for decades, Monarch decides to leave Kong to his own devices on Skull Island. Following these events, Air Service Captain James Conrad and photographer Mason Weaver are officially hired by Monarch. They're debriefed on the organization's discoveries, revealing the existence of more titans such as Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah. Following the confirmation of Kong and Godzilla's existence, the Monsterverse franchise takes a considerable time skip, as the events of the Godzilla movie only unfold in 2014. During this period, a few notable discoveries are made by Monarch. In 1991, they discover a new titan lying in protostasis within Isla de Mona's volcano. The Isla de Mona Observation Center is established to keep an eye on Rodan in case the fire demon ever wakes up. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to even Monarch, Aaron Brooks leaves on an expedition to Skull Island in 1995 to check up on Kong. He finds that the great ape is still alive and a friend of humanity. While he's there under Kong's protection, Brooks documents the existence of more new MUTOs, such as Siren Jaw, Swamp Locust, and the Death Jackals. However, the most impactful event of this period takes place in 1999, starting with Vivian Graham discovering a massive fossil and 2 parasitic spores within it. While one spore was retrieved and sent to Nevada for observation, the other had already hatched. The second spore would go on to cause the Janjira incident, where a MUTO entered the Janjira nuclear power plant and began feeding on it. The plant was sealed, while the MUTO fed on the remaining radioactive fuel and cocooned itself. 10 years later, in 2009, another cocoon was discovered in China's Yunnan province. It's revealed that this cocoon contains the Titan Mothra, leading Monarch to construct Outpost 61 as a containment facility. And this brings us to 2014, where the Monsterverse changes forever when MUTOs are revealed to the public for the first time. The male MUTO in Janjira finally wakes up from its slumber and escapes the facility, causing mass destruction in the outside world. The male MUTO begins emitting echolocation signals, which the researchers assume to be directed toward Godzilla. However, the female MUTO breaking out of the Yucca Mountain Repository in Nevada suggested that the echolocation was a mating call. Once again, attempts at destroying the monsters with nuclear weapons ended in failure, as the MUTOs simply used them as a power source. Eventually, Godzilla took on both MUTOs in battle, defeating them and collapsing from exhaustion afterward. The events of 2014 end with Godzilla returning to the sea once again, But now the world of monsters has begun to stir at an alarming pace. In 2016, Monarch discovers King Ghidorah, the three-headed titan, frozen and preserved in the Antarctic ice. Problems arise when a group of eco-terrorists, led by Colonel Alan Jonah and supported by Dr. Emma Russell, begin releasing MUTOs such as Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah from Monarch containment facilities. The eco-terrorists contend that the Titans possess terraforming abilities, which can be used to heal the damage done to Earth by human activity. Mothra escapes her holding facility and hides away to enter her pupil form before fully transforming. Meanwhile, it's revealed that King Ghidorah is actually an alien monster that wishes to destroy the Earth. Ultimately, Godzilla and Mothra engage Ghidorah and Rodan in a fierce battle for the fate of the Earth. With Mothra sacrificing herself to lend him power, Godzilla manages to defeat King Ghidorah and becomes the alpha among all Titans. King Ghidorah's awakening led to the emergence of about 20 more Titans at the time. However, his defeat at the hands of Godzilla drove them all into hiding once again for a few years, with no Titan sightings reported in 2021. The next 3 years were relatively peaceful, with Monarch focusing its energy on the one monster it could always locate with ease, Kong. Using Kong's connection with a deaf Iwi girl named Gia, Monarch researchers are able to understand the Titan much better. But all good things must come to an end, and the chaos began in 2024, when Godzilla suddenly attacked an Apex Cybernetics facility in Pensacola. Undeterred by Godzilla's attacks, Apex informs Monarch that they wish to acquire a radiation-based energy source from Hollow Earth. However, they need a Titan to guide them within the realm. Once within Hollow Earth, Kong finds remnants of a war between his species and Godzilla's, most notably an axe made using a dorsal plate from one of Godzilla's kind. This axe was also the powerful source Apex was looking for. They copied its signature to activate the secret weapon that actually triggered Godzilla's attack, a cybernetic titan named Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla was made using King Ghidorah's DNA, and controlled using its severed head via neural networks. However, the scientists at Apex did not account for Ghidorah's consciousness being able to take over the mechanical titan. Following a fight between the two monsters in Hong Kong, Godzilla and Kong decided to put their differences aside to defeat the common enemy, Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla overwhelms the two titans in the battle, but when Godzilla charged Kong's axe with his atomic breath, that was enough for the great ape to land a killing blow on Mechagodzilla. Following their victory, the two Titans decided to strike a truce, with Kong returning to Hollow Earth as its ruler. For the next 3 years, Kong stays in Hollow Earth, while Godzilla acts as the protector of the surface, defeating threats such as Scylla. However, a new threat seems to be on the horizon when Godzilla attacks a nuclear plant in France to absorb its radiation. Relentless in his quest for strength, Godzilla goes to the Arctic to kill the Titan Tiamat and absorb the cosmic radiation in her lair. This strengthens Godzilla even further, and turns his dorsal plates magenta. In the meantime, Kong stumbles upon an inner kingdom in Hollow Earth, with a race of apes similar to himself. He learns that they're ruled by a tyrant known as the Scar King, who wields a crystal that gives him control over the ice-breathing titan Shimo. While Kong tries to take on the Scar King, his right arm is immobilized by Shimo's ice breath, making Kong lose his axe. He barely escapes with the assistance of a young ape named Zuko. It was revealed in ancient hieroglyphs that Scar King was a far older threat to the planet Earth, and that he used Shimo once before to trigger an ice age. It was Godzilla who put an end to his ambitions back then, by trapping Scar King under Hollow Earth. The encounter with Kong alerted Scar King to the fact that the barrier preventing him from reaching the surface had been broken. Meanwhile, Kong encounters Gia, who has learned that she holds the key to reawakening Mothra. After awakening Mothra, Kong decides their only shot at beating Scar King and Shimo is to summon Godzilla to assist them. He emerges in Cairo, leading to Godzilla attacking Kong, but Mothra is able to intervene before any damage is done. The three Titans join forces to take on Scar King, who had once again abused Shimo's power to start an ice age in Rio de Janeiro. While the two groups of Titans are locked in battle, Zuko emerges with Kong's axe and shatters the crystal used to control Shimo. Finally liberated, Shimo turns on Scar King, leading to him being defeated once and for all by the protectors of Earth. And with that, the Monsterverse timeline comes to an end for now. Make sure you like this video and hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another Monsterverse update.